Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Tuesday, May 18th, 2021, and this is virtual lunch number 306. It is a privilege today that Alex Su, the new head of community development at Ironclad, is our guest, and this is part of our continuing series on growth and efficiency, thanks to our friends at ShorePoint Technologies. Alex, great to see you.
It's a great honor to be here.
Awesome. So Alex, tell us about your background and your new role at Ironclad. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ari. My background, I started off my career practicing law. I graduated from law school 11 years ago, which has gone by fairly quickly. I practiced for 6 years, then made the jump to legal tech, first joining Logical in the e-discovery space as an entry-level salesperson. 3 years after that, I joined Devisort, and most recently, I joined Ironclad as the head of community development. Lots of twists and turns in my career, which I'm sure many of us are not strangers to. And a lot of my social media activity is fairly recent, which has been an interesting surprise in my own life. It's crazy to me that I'm meeting the 20 of you here and you've heard of me. That's kind of mind-blowing to me still. When I started off in legal tech, I started off being taught, well, if you're going to do sales, you got to do cold calls. You got to reach out to people through emails. It can get pretty inefficient because people don't like to be cold called. It's hard to chase people around for business. I saw that in the legal tech space. It was growing. There's a lot more competition. Marketing has emerged as a really important role, business development, whatever you want to call it. The technology companies have this incentive to find more efficient ways to engage with their audience or their prospective customers. On the other side, many people who are looking at technology, they have other needs too. They want to engage with each other. They want to have a forum where they can connect. I think the convergence of these two factors means that many companies are going to start looking at community as a way to get in touch with potential clients and customers. I grew up in an immigrant family. I wanted to be a trial lawyer. I wanted to be articulate. I watched A Few Good Men and I thought, well, hey, that's the job I want. And that's not what ended up happening. And so I've learned to be a little bit more flexible and open to opportunities as they arise. I've never been a video person. I never imagined I'd be on TikTok. Here's how it happened. When I first got into legal tech, I was tasked with cold calling. That was really hard for those of us who have done that. So I started getting active on LinkedIn, started posting content. I did that for almost 4 years without much traction. I started growing my audience in a very small way. And then the pandemic hit. I wasn't sure what was going to happen with our industry, with my job, with a lot of things. I started experimenting with different types of content. I knew that people were going online, they were going on social. LinkedIn was one of the platforms, but many others as well. I tried to be funny in my content. And so I started to make these videos using Zoom. And videos weren't the only thing I tried. I tried other things that were weird and controversial. And for those of you who aren't familiar, these videos are really just making fun of my experiences working in law firms. We're all connected to the industry. We all know that there's silly traditions and rules. So I would make fun of them in my videos. And then people would suggest to me, well, you should probably get on TikTok. What I knew about TikTok was really what most people know. It's full of dancing teenagers. It's not for people in my generation. I don't use TikTok. That's not my platform. But editing on iMovie was really hard. I really didn't like that. And so I tried editing a video on TikTok and it was so easy. So I was like, I'll create a video on TikTok. I have no followers. I'll download it out. I'll put it on LinkedIn where I have an audience. That'll be easier. And so I did that for 6 or 7 months. I put out a few videos and experimented with editing. And then on my 4th video, it went massively viral. I had my sister text me saying, hey, I just saw you on TikTok. I didn't know my sister had TikTok. She's like a year older than me. It was the most viewed content I'd ever created in my entire life. So I thought, well, maybe I'll continue doing this. It's fun. It's been helpful from a business development perspective. And so now over the past 6 months, 7 months, I've experimented with different types of content, different types of videos. I have a process where I pick certain ones to go on LinkedIn, certain ones to go on my Instagram. And TikTok is really my sketch pad where I try all sorts of different zany things. So that's been my experience. That's how I got started with it. It's kind of crazy to me that I'm on TikTok. My first couple of videos, I took vacation days and I spent 5 or 6 hours making my first one. And it was terrible. I was basically learning as I was making them. But I've gotten to the point where now I've made probably 150 videos. And so I've gotten some efficiency. I've gotten better at it. I have a system. But what I also do is I look at existing content. The best performing ones seem to have a story and a framework. And so with these ideas in the back of my mind in my document, for example, one topic I always do is frustrations of in-house lawyers. That seems to be a very popular topic. That idea is always in the back of my head. I know that in-house lawyers, for those of us who've spoken with them or have worked in-house, last minute requests from sales is always a frustration. Being called a cost center. There's these themes that are always there. And so when you watch these videos, you start to put together ideas of how that theme can be shown in that framework. This has been the biggest surprise, that sometimes the content that you think is going to be most compelling to people ends up not being that. and the stuff you put out that you think is silly and not that great ends up striking a chord with people. The video that I put out that ended up getting 2 million views, that was a throwaway. That was done very quickly. The other ones that I worked on, I thought would have a better chance, ended up not being very popular. So I put it out on TikTok. I see what's popular. Before I put it on LinkedIn, I want to see how it performs on these various platforms. I try to notice who engages with it. I only cherry pick certain ones to go to LinkedIn because I think most of the folks who I'm trying to target are on LinkedIn. They're not on TikTok. So that's kind of the whole process in a nutshell. It's hard. In the beginning, I had a smaller audience. I took more risks. And so when I was my first legal tech company, I remember putting out a post attacking another e-discovery company. And I remember I got in trouble for that. The good news is that part of my career strategy has been I've worked for large companies and firms. I've worked for small ones. I feel like I'm a better fit at smaller ones. I think small companies and startups tend to have more trouble getting noticed versus making sure that they're viewed the right way. So for me, a little bit of controversy brings people to my LinkedIn page. They say, where does this guy work? They click on the company link and that over time leads to inbound inquiries. The controversy when you're small at a small company, overall, it's more aligned. And right now, Ironclad is super supportive of my content creation. I expect that if I ever push the envelope and I do something that gets controversial or gets me in trouble, someone will just say something and I'll just adjust accordingly, which is fine with me. I think I'm at a point where I'm trying to experiment, but I'd also understand that controversy for the sake of controversy probably isn't something I need right now. From a marketing perspective, if you put yourself out there with content that people want, it'll reach a lot more people. And most people will not be your ideal clients. They will not reach out to you for business. But if you get that audience large enough, a small section of them will, and they will be the ones who are going to need it right away. So the sales cycles are faster. They're probably going to be a good fit because they probably will have vetted out what your offering is for a long time. And so by almost like not focusing too hard on trying to get business development, it comes out if you have compelling content. So when I was at Logical, that kind of stepped up after a while. When I was at Evisort, I really just expanded my audience. And so I started getting a steady stream of inbounds. People would reach out to me. And so right now at Ironclad, my goal is that I'll continue putting out this content and it'll filter through to the sales team. It'll filter through to the community team. It's hard to track exactly how people come about, but the fact that a few folks here have heard of me, like I said, I can't believe that. I feel like it's going to have some benefit for the company overall in the long run. When I watch content, I always have an eye for what could be used. So it's almost like my entertainment is also a source of my hobby. Whenever I've got a moment, I just watch stuff. And TikTok is really good at surfacing really popular content. Every time I see a popular video, I always think, is there an angle I can use for my ideas? One more thing that I want to make sure I would share is that, and I've fallen into this trap. Social media is a tool. It enables us, as long as we make sure that we use it for our own purposes. It can be very easy to just fall into the trap of letting it become something else, just posting content for the likes and comments, being addicted to engagement or being addicted to the content. So it's something I'm always thinking about because it's easy to fall into that trap. I started off with LinkedIn because it was connected to my work. Now I expand it because my goals are different. There's certain people who are in the legal industry on LinkedIn, but there's also a lot on other platforms. So I'm in a different place. I only focus on LinkedIn. I only focus on the handful of people who repeatedly like my stuff because that's the people who I should focus on. Not everyone should copy my approach. My approach is designed for me. I'm not a practicing lawyer. I'm outside of that world. I am in startups. I'm in a unique situation where, for example, if I was a partner at a firm, I would not be posting about the challenges I dealt with failing the bar exam. That's a topic that people are very sensitive about. But because I'm outside of that now, it's a very charged topic for a lot of people. I can post that. That does not mean a rising associate at a firm and you see me posting that information that you should copy the same type. The people I've seen endure over the course of years are people who really look at the long-term audience development as opposed to content development. But there's a lot of ways you can generate engagement and metrics. For those of you who are thinking about becoming content creators, I would encourage it. Put yourself out there, take some risks if you can, put out more content rather than less, and just figure out what the world wants from you. For me, it was sharing about my challenges about getting fired, not passing the bar exam, but we all have stories that need to be shared. So I would encourage all of you to do that if you want to, if you're comfortable with it. I look forward to checking it out.
Alex Sue, everybody. Awesome discussion. Wow. And thanks so much. Thanks to Lydia and the team at SurePoint for supporting our series on growth and efficiency. This has been just fantastic. I'm grateful for your time.